Things are getting really sticky in Canada, and people are fighting back against the American tariffs any way they can, and it's getting pretty contentious. Some of it has to do with groceries, but some of it also has to do with country pride, and I want to discuss it in today's video and take a look at some of these videos. Some of the things are pretty funny to see the grocery stores and how they're reacting to these tariffs, but regardless, we're going to discuss it all while we go through these videos, with the first one being a no frills. That's kind of like a really discounted kind of grocery store in Canada, although I wouldn't say it's discounted much anymore. It is owned by Loblaws, who is the biggest price gouging grocery store company in all of Canada. So with that being said, let's take a look at what could be potentially virtue signaling. I don't know, you say what you want in the comment section, but this is happening a lot at grocery stores now. Products being removed from the shelf. So anything that's American is either going to be removed from the shelves, or people are purposely not buying them to show their allegiance to Canada. All right. Canada, the great country of Canada. Here's some more of that right here. So as you can see, the Canadian flags are underneath the products that are Canadian made. So it gives the consumer an idea of what is Canadian. They also want to do their part and purchase groceries at the grocery store. It'd be interesting to see the price comparison between the American stuff versus Canadian. I'm assuming the Canadian stuff would be cheaper. There's some coffee there, some Classico, nice marinara sauce. Kraft dinner, that's almost $3, so maybe not. Prices look pretty high to me, but yeah. And eggs, of course, as well. This is some of the things a lot of Canadians are doing to fight back. So while some grocery stores are just, straight up removing the product from the shelves, a lot of people are making a conscious decision to buy Canadian only.
This is going to be a day-to-day fight. This is now the second round of unjustified tariffs leveled against Canada and Canadian goods. The excuse for the first round was exaggerated claims about our border. We addressed all the concerns raised by the US, and in return, they agreed to temporarily abide by the free trade agreement President Trump signed himself with Canada. The latest excuse is national security, despite the fact that Canadian steel and aluminum add to America's security, not take away from it. All the while, there is a threat to further and broader tariffs on April 2nd still looming. The excuse for those tariffs shifts every day. The only constant in this unjustified and unjustifiable trade war seems to be President Trump's talks of annexing our country through economic coercion. Yesterday, he called our border a fictional line and repeated his disrespectful 51st state rhetoric. Well, Canadians have made it very clear that we will not back down and we will not give in to this coercion. Canada is not the one driving up the cost of your groceries or of your gasoline or any of your construction. Canada is not the one putting your jobs at risk. Canada is not the one that is ultimately starting this war. President Trump's tariffs against you are causing that.
It's just scary in general to think that we are potentially at war with our neighbors. Now, I know this isn't like a full-blown war, it's a tariff war, but still, the fact that we have been living so peacefully amongst each other for so long, and all of a sudden, tariffs impose, Canada reacts, imposes more tariffs, and then we're getting this weird cycle where I feel like there isn't going to be any clear winner here. I think both parties are going to suffer in some capacity. Maybe Canada suffers a little more, maybe the United States suffers a little more. But now Canada is doing drastic things like unloading its US debt as well, which could really damage the US economy.
Hey everybody, so this just came out. Apparently Canada would be unloading some of its debt it owns from the US government. So it's unloading bonds. Now, it's getting serious because US owes a shitload of money to several countries. Also, Japan, 1.1 trillion, China, 749 billion, UK, 690.2 billion, Luxembourg, 373.5 billion, and Canada owns 328.7 of the US debt. Now, bonds are pretty simple, right? When a country needs money, it doesn't just ask money to other countries. Like, countries buy bonds from that country. Now, Canada deciding to unload some of his bonds, and China being pissed off at the States could also decide to unload some of their bonds, which would mean that that would cripple U.S. economy in a heartbeat. So, you know, playing tough is one thing, but when other countries decide to play back, that's another. Have a good day, guys. I'll let you know when I have the exact amount of how much Canada decided to unload from the U.S.
If there's any country that started doing that, I think China would have the biggest impact, I feel like, on Canada. But there's also some individuals that believe that Canada will lose this trade war regardless. Like, just absolutely, like hook, line, and sinker. And maybe you feel the same way. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section.
So Trump just started a trade war with Canada by putting tariffs on some pretty important products like oil, gas, lumber, and steel. And in response, our genius of a prime minister decided to put a 25% counter tariff on, and this is straight from ChatGPT, so you know it's true, orange juice, eggs, peanut butter, and coffee. That is the saddest and most Canadian response I can imagine. Trudeau literally just went, "Oh yeah, you're gonna devastate the entire backbone of the Canadian economy? Pfft, good luck finding a healthy, balanced breakfast anytime soon, losers." Oh, we're so fucked.
Well, I mean, the egg thing is pretty substantial. Egg prices in Canada, while they are pretty high compared to a few years ago, are substantially lower than the United States, especially after all the culling that was going on because there was some contamination in the eggs, so the prices were spiking like crazy when there was any sort of egg restock. But regardless, there's another individual here who's more passionate about Canada than the previous individual.
In my life, have I seen an uglier person have a bigger ego than you? You're gonna start a trade war with your best friends and allies and remove sanctions from a dictator. But you're a dictator too now, right? Because you're banning protesting. And what is that when the people cannot stand up against what the government has said or what they have done? That is a dictatorship. And I hope you guys know that Canadians don't want this. We are a peaceful people, but we don't back down from a fight. And we are going to be loud with our wallets. We're going to be loud online and call out these lies. And we are going to be loud with our leaders and tell them that we have their back and we do not want to stand down from this fight. Because there's one thing I'll tell you about Canadians, and that is that we are a spiteful people. And we would rather be broke than give in to a dictator. And I hope you fight America. Because the moment that they ban protesting, that is a surefire sign that you should grab that fucking sign and get out there.
But it's not just the United States Canada is going to have to fight a potential tariff war with. It's also China, which is really terrifying. Because China, like, my God, the amount of things that we get imported from China, just look at any product you've got on Amazon. It's like 70% of it, maybe even more, is coming from China.
So China slapped a 100% tariff on Canadian goods, or some Canadian goods. I'm no tariff expert, but why in October of 2024 did Canada slap 100% tariff on electrical vehicles out of China and who knows what else right before the election? I have no idea. But China was unhappy about this. But it's interesting, they waited until Donald Trump was elected, knowing Donald Trump was going to slap tariffs on Canada. And then, once they knew the date and when these tariffs were going into effect from the United States on Canada, China then announces the 100% tariffs on Canadian goods. So, what happens when a tariff is imposed by the United States on Canada? It makes the price of Canadian goods for the U.S. consumer higher. So, supply and demand means U.S. is going to buy less of Canadian goods. So they're going to have a surplus of goods that they are in turn going to try to sell to China. And China's like, mother truckers. In October, you hit us with these tariffs. Now we're going to leave you stuck with all this surplus that you have and make you pay for what you did to us. Am I crazy or do I have a point? Let me know, people.
If you guys want to know what those tariffs are, there is an article here by the CBC Retaliatory tariffs imposed by China on Canadian canola causes uncertainty for Manitoba farmers. So this is canola related. China's Commerce Ministry announced Saturday that tariffs will go into effect on March 20th in retaliation for Canada's 100% tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles, like the individual was saying in the video, and a 25% levy on Chinese aluminum and steel products imposed on October 1st. So this is another retaliatory tariff imposed on Canada. What is going on in 2025? This could lead to an absolute shit show. Leave your thoughts about this shit show down below in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one.